When I first started, it was kind of it just I loved comedy. Like I absolutely, I mean, I still do, but I never even dreamed that it would be a job. And it's mad now to even think about. I used to gig all the time, constantly. Like I sort of became known as the person that just was obsessed with gigging. And I'd do like sort of 3 a night and get on my little bicycle and go from gig to gig to gig to gig. Because my thought was like, if one goes badly, then one of the other ones will go well. So I just was consumed with trying to learn as much as possible in such a short space of time. I read Jimmy Carr's book, and he said, like, I think he said he did 300 gigs in his first year, which is insane. So I was hell bent on trying to sort of do more than 300 gigs. So I did 311 in the end, and that was my sort of benchmark. And so one day, because of that, I hope to be as rich as Jimmy Carr. I was incredible, actually. Like, it's mad when you're in there, you have no idea what people think of you. And so the only thing you can go on is that you're staying in there. It was really mad. I just, even when I came out, I had no real idea of how big it was. It was a really big series. It did really well. And everyone really liked it because it was the year where like Brexit had happened and Donald Trump had just got put into office, and so literally the week before that he'd just been voted in, and so I think everyone was looking for some sort of release from that, and it was a really nice series where everyone really got on, and the country really loved it because we didn't argue, and yeah, so it was great. And then I got out, and I remember just sort of everyone was telling me that it was good, and I came second, and everyone really liked it, and it was fine. And I remember like talking to my agent on the phone, and I was like, "Oh, it's cool, it's good, it's done well." But, and then he was like, "Oh, you've just to let you know, I hope it's okay, but while you were in there, we put a date on it at Hammersmith Apollo, and it sold out." And then I was just like, "Oh, cool, I think my life's I think it's going to change a bit." I'd say I'm sort of a strange hybrid comedian, where I'm very conversational, upbeat, anecdotal. I feel like that's what someone would say from The Guardian. Who am I kidding? Heat Magazine. That's probably what someone would say from Heat Magazine. And yeah, a sort of upbeat, anecdotal, smiley man who tells lots of tales from his childhood. I'm fairly non-offensive, but I have a sort of a strange ability to be able to insult somebody while smiling and they think I've complimented them. It's quite a talent, you know? I can tell someone they got a really shit shirt on, but they go like, "Oh, thanks." I really did, just because it was a discipline that I never knew I had, and it completely changed my work ethic forever. It's that sort of, I never went to university, so it was that thing of that people probably experience in that realm of getting a dissertation done, and it was like waking up every morning and writing all day and finding a way of keeping yourself inspired and keeping yourself going throughout that day. And yeah, I'd just do that for sort of 6 months, 9 months really. And it was really hard. It was the hardest thing I think I've ever done. And but I loved it. I really loved it. I've never, with stand-up, you kind of have like the memories of a gig, and you can sometimes have a DVD or a Netflix special where you go like, "Oh, that's what I achieved." But like having a physical thing with pages that you can sort of go through, and it's so cool. And also you just give them out as Christmas presents for the rest of your life. With all audiences in general, I think when you're recognisable, you just get like an extra tiny grace period. They don't necessarily, English audiences still won't humour you for long. Like if you're not delivering the goods, they won't laugh at you. But you just get an extra little bit So like I always think like when you're new, you probably get sort of 15 seconds to sort of show some confidence and give it. And as someone who's off the telly, you probably get a minute. You know, that brutality is what makes our business so special. But it's with corporate audiences, it's like it can be. It's the same. They sort of give you a bit of leeway up top, but if you're not delivering the goods, then they won't go with you. And it's like, I love corporate gigs, and I know some comedians sort of find them difficult, but I just find them that same exhilaration that you used to get when you used to do open mic gigs. You have like you have no idea, because with comedy rooms, like comedy clubs and things, you can sort of sense how it's going to be. You kind of know what sort of bunch they're going to be. You know what sort of set you're going to do. Whereas with corporate gigs, genuinely, you can think you know what it's going to be like, but as soon as you stand on stage and you start talking, you're like, oh, they're this sort of bunch. It's so different, and it really keeps you on your toes. And I really love them. I think they're really fun. I also just love presenting awards. I think it's genuinely so fun. Just love like laughing at like things that I have absolutely no idea about. I think the challenge is to laugh at what they do without belittling it. I think that's really important line to walk, because it's such an important night for them. It's like a really great, cool thing to like award people stuff that, you know, like franchise of the year or manager of the year or all of this stuff. And it's like, it can kind of sometimes seem like it's easy to sort of laugh at that and be like, haha, you've got like assistant manager of the year at a chain in Warrington or something like that. But it's so big for them, and it's great. And I think it's walking that line of like, and that's why it works so well to talk to, say, the slightly higher up the chain people, because if you bring them down a notch, it's much better for the whole room. You know, we can all laugh in that common ground if we talk to the CEO and things. But I think they're a real fun challenge. And yeah, it's sort of just like, I've really relished in that challenge. I think it's like, I also really enjoy learning about businesses, because that's something I've never done. I've never worked in an office. And so I did this one for Superdrug last week, and it was a day long, it was just like a whole day event thing. So I went on in the morning and did some stand up before the morning started. And then it was like an hour speaker. It was like this managing director who does a whole thing about the year coming up and the year that's happened and what's going on. And then another guy comes on from like the CEO, and he talks about blah, blah, blah. And it was so fun. Like, I thought it genuinely interesting to learn about all this stuff. And then they really enjoyed it when I would come back on and talk about the stuff that the guy had said from the perspective of someone who has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And you know, and they really like that stuff. I think it's really fun to like listen to the insides and outs of Superdrug. Yeah, sometimes I think it's that thing at a corporate bunch. It's like, it's you never know what you're gonna get. Like, you have no idea. So like sometimes you just kind of go and you're like, oh, this is great. This is really fun. And I think it's almost more rewarding that way, because when it is fun, you're like, it's so fun. And yeah, I think you can really, if it's set up right, I think there's so much scope for having so much fun at corporate events. I think the setup is really important, but also what's interesting about corporate gigs is that you're not the only thing that they're having to cater for. Whereas you go on for a tour show, it's all about you and what you're doing. That is it. Whereas at a corporate event, sometimes, you know, you've got awards to cater for. You've got them to literally cater for. You've got dancing to cater for. You've got stuff like that. So it's like, sometimes you have to compromise with big round tables and dance floors and things like that. And that's what makes corporate gigs harder than a theatre gig, is because you are not given the sort of the beauty of having 2,000 people looking straight at you in seats that force you to look straight ahead. You're having to deal with half of the room going like this across their chairs, and that takes a lot to do that for 15 minutes. That's like, I couldn't do that for 15 minutes, so I really applaud people who can sort of turn around and look at me for 15 minutes that way. Yeah, just through the years, I've sort of figured out what the corporate set is, and again, it's the demographic of the audience. If it's like a younger corporate, I'll do a different set to a bunch. If it's like an older bunch, compared to when it's like a lot more men, I'll do a certain set compared to when it's sort of a 50-50 bunch. And it's, just figuring out the right set, and it's, sometimes people want it to be a little bit blue, some people want it to not be, and that's completely fine. And sort of, I think the longer you do it, the more stuff you have to sort of sift through, really. There's more stuff on the Rolodex that you can kind of go, hey, how's it going? You're right. What's your name? Cool. And then you think, okay, what do you do? Okay, and then this Rolodex in your head, you go, cool, this is sweet, we'll do that bit. But there was a time where I only had 3 things on that Rolodex. But now there's, hopefully, the Rolodex is full. I take every opportunity as it comes, really, because it's difficult in this industry sometimes, because you meet your heroes very quickly, and if you're very lucky, you get to experience your dreams. And so I, within a year, within 2 years, kind of experienced all of my dreams. And so you keep on having to sort of reset your goals. And, just like selling out the Hammersmith Apollo was, for me, when I first started 11 years ago, that was like the thing. That was the thing I wanted to do. And when you do it, it's quite easy to just kind of dismiss it and be like, okay, cool, next thing. But you've got to really make sure you take it in and go like, oh, this is really special. This is really cool. It was the same with the Netflix thing. It was just, it's really easy to get bogged down in the technicalities of it, but it's so cool. Like, I'm so happy. Like, a lot of comedians are very depressive, and they sort of go up on stage and they're like, whee, and then they come off and they're like, oh, I hate everything. Whereas I just genuinely, I cannot believe I've got away with doing this for so long. I'm genuinely happy all the time, to the point where it's actually frustrating to everyone around me.